Soup. We are on episode 6 to be exact. Today we're going to be reviewing Ghost in the Shell, the original 1995 anime. With us, as always, is Riggs and Ketsu. We are going to be doing a brief synopsis of Ghost in the Shell that Riggs is holding up here. So he will be reading that for us, since I do not know how to read English. All right. Take it away, Riggs.
All right. Mamoru Oshii's futuristic animated masterpiece, Ghost in the Shell, is the perfect film to experience on digital video disc. Seamlessly merging traditional cell animation with the latest computer graphics imagery, this stunning sci-fi spectacle has broken the boundaries of mainstream animation and his detailed artistic direction and unique and intelligent storyline. Ghost in the Shell took the world by storm in 1990 by introducing a new wave of Japanese animation through its memorizing cinematic expression, a movie that questions our own human existence in the fast-paced world of the information age. This remarkable award-winning cybertech thriller has gone on to become one of the leading Japanese animation films of all time. There you go.
Awesome. Good job. Thank you.
Not much of a synopsis there, huh?
Thank you for entertaining us with that. All right, so we're gonna start off here with Ketsu. Can you please give us your just feeling about it?
I feel great about the movie.
It's good.
I like it. I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good, Foundation. How do you feel?
Riggs, how about you first? Let's hear how you feel about it.
My critical opinion, huh? Okay.
Well, just quick, how do you feel about it? We'll get into details in a little bit.
I feel good. It wasn't what I remember it being, but granted, I probably haven't seen it for 20 years, so that's probably to be expected.
Okay. Were you under the influence last time you watched it, or?
Well, 20 years ago, I mean, maybe. I was up to all sorts of shenanigans when I was in high school, but that's not the show, is it? What are you, my mom?
No, I was just, everybody has a different take on what they see, and sometimes, hallucinogens can alter somebody's state of consciousness. And
that's right.
Anyway, outside of that fact, so what do I feel about it?
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of it. I do really enjoy the genre, but it was just really hard. It was hard to watch, honestly.
What?
Okay.
What?
It's all right. There's no vampire hunter. It's fine. We get it.
Yeah. Okay. So, just with that being said, let's talk about.
Well, let's talk about it then.
Let's talk about that. Like, Matt, please elaborate. Please
dropping an egg.
Dive into that. Dive
All
in.
Right, well, okay.
Dive in. Why do you think it's subjectively bad? Or subjectively bad?
Okay. It was honestly. I said it was hard to watch. So at one point, there was like this weird. It wasn't like a montage sequence, but it was just like the captain or whatever she goes by, or
Major.
The Major. Thank you. Major is just kind of floating around in these like barges, kind of staring up at windows and stuff, and it's just this like weird sort of like 2 or 3 minute segment where it's just like music and you're in this like Neo Tokyo place. It seems like that was just really out of place. The storyline is really just, I mean, it's okay at best. It starts out like this. So it's they discover this this interpreter robot, or interpreter cyborg is the proper name, has been hacked, essentially. So in these cyborgs, you have basically this entire machine body and it's all computerized and such, which I think is really freaking awesome. And then they essentially have a biological brain from a human. Some of these robots or cyborgs actually don't have a real human brain. They just have a synthetic brain which has no ghost. The ghost being a spirit. With the Major, she happens to actually have a human brain which has a ghost. So there's this whole sort of hard to follow sort of storyline revolving around whether or not somebody can have a ghost with a synthetic brain, essentially. And I mean, I got it. I don't think a lot of people would probably understand what's going on there unless they watched it a few times and are familiar with like how a cyborg might be built. But that was kind of just like a weirdness. Another thing I didn't really enjoy about it is like everything's like all the computer screens are green, which I understand it was made in 1995. But if you're running around in a thermal optics suit, that basically a thermal optics suit allows the user of it to be transparent. Okay, so they're see-through. It's like intercity camouflage, whatever. If you have that sort of technology, why would you not have a sort of color screen technology? That's just maybe a plot hole. Maybe I'm just being overly sensitive about screen color. I felt like the ending was junk. I don't want to. Do I want to do a spoiler?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely spoil it. Like this
movie is going on 30 years old, man.
Yeah,
true.
And we always warn our viewers, hey, watch this and then join us for the review because we're gonna spoil it.
I really could not get attached to the character that is the Major. Okay, she's like super cyborg, lady, really good looking, sure. But at the end, she's battling against this sort of like robotic tank thing. It's like a futuristic sort of tank looking robot. And she tries to like rip the top off this thing. In the process of doing so, she severs her limbs off and she's just laying there in a puddle of water after her partner swoops in out of nowhere with a super gun and blows this thing away. I thought that was really stupid. If the Major is a cybernetic being, they would be really, really intelligent. They would know the stresses that were placed on each of their joints and the breaking point of those joints. And what, how would, it's like if it's a computer aided brain, then that sort of system would know inherently how to destroy this tank robot thing. But no, the Major jumps on the back of this tank thing and like tries to muscle the door of it open to get at the operator. It's completely illogical. Plot hole for me. And then like this sort of AI comes out of nowhere, essentially. But the AI is what was controlling. It was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was either this hacker that downloaded their brain into the ether, and then from that point they became something like a virus, and then some programmers from I think it was the United States government tried to isolate this entity within a body, which was this body of this interpreter. It's hard to follow. I don't know. I mean, I hate to keep jabbering on about it, but
no, I'm here for this. I want to know why you don't like it, because I'm going to go on about how much I like it.
Okay, so then at the end there, you have the Major laying with this other entity, which is inside of this sort of dismembered body of another cybernetic being, and then this AI thing, which is like super powerful in the net or whatever. is like, hey, we should merge together and become a new being. And the Major's like, well, I kind of enjoy being who I am, something to that effect. And it was almost just like at the end, somebody, pops off a shot and takes off the arm of her partner, and then some other madness ensues, and the two just end up being united together. And then they're kind of reborn in like the same head that the Major has, but just the partner had to get a hold of some cybernetic body, which ended up being kind of like a child. And then it just like was like, oh, what do we do with? I don't know. It's just at that point I was like, this is kind of just pointless, and I didn't check out. I watched it. I was just like, this is just not what I.
Foundation. I ask a question.
Go ahead.
Were you
watching
a little distracted while watching this movie? Was anything going on? Did the movie have your full attention?
No, it did. I watched it in two separate parts. So I watched 30 minutes
some of the things you're making statements are unclear about were very clear in the anime.
They are very clear. I'm not saying that they weren't clear. Okay?
Like where the quote unquote AI came from was very clearly drawn out, and you seem to be a little confused on where it came from.
Well, it was earlier in the film. They're like, oh, it was a hacker that downloaded their ghost or something into the net. But then later on, the AI says, I was born from a program that was meant to kind of take advantage of people's or cybernetic humans' ghosts so that we could essentially take advantage of what they're doing and possibly influence them to do things that we wanted them to do. And in that way, the AI said it gained consciousness.
Right.
Okay,
so,
I understand.
It was never a hacker that got put into a body. It was
artificial intelligence.
Basically, it's a VI.
So it's like
the VI, becoming an AI. So the difference between a virtual intelligence and then an artificial intelligence.
So then earlier in the film, the government official that was trying to get that body of that translator was just full of it, essentially.
Well, it was.
He knew.
Yeah,
he knew.
Yeah,
so that it just. On it.
I mean, I get that there was a lot of corruption going on with the differences, or just the two different, even within the divisions of, I think it was some Japanese government, there seemed to be a lot of
so they were Sector 9, and then the cats from Sector 6 came to be like, oh, we have to seize this program, but they didn't realize that the program was sentient life, and like the first of its kind
created it. Sector 6 is responsible for the creation of, and that project, it was all dates back to the very first scene, which you kind of glossed over, where it becomes the beginning of it, where she jumps in through that office because the programmer's there looking for asylum, and he's like, well, I don't even know if Project 2501 is really a bug or not. And that, if you miss that part, that 2501 is referenced throughout the anime. And so that programmer was the lead programmer. Yes, he is from America, and they developed it. But yeah, it was Section 4 in Japan that created the program or the project. And then, but yes, they used an American doctor and some other programmers. I don't know if necessarily the programmers were American or not, but anywho, I was just curious. It just seemed like some of your thoughts were a little scattered on it. But you know what? I respect where you're at and your thought on it.
Okay. Well, it's hard to kind of paraphrase the movie because it's so complex.
I get you.
So I just, that character, the Major, I really wanted to have some sort of connection with that character. It's just very hard to. I felt like there was a lot. The one good thing I really liked about the movie is that it made you think about what is it to be human And what is the difference between a cybernetic organism that has like a human brain and just say a human or an enhanced human, which is going to be something that will happen probably in the next 20 years. We're going to start seeing like, mechanically or computerized integration with the human body. Elon Musk is already working on stuff like that. So I think that's a cool thing, and that's something I actually want to get into professionally. So in that respect, I love the movie. But as far as like storyline, character development, I just didn't really like it. That's all I'm trying to say.
You like the idea of it, but not the substance of it.
Execution.
Which brings me to my next point, is that we did establish that Ghost in the Shell 2.0 is like a reboot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I'll watch that, and maybe they'll change my opinion. However, there's the live action movie with Scarlett Johansson, which I
was really not good. That's why I haven't seen it though.
I absolutely love it. I love it.
She got a lot of flack for doing that movie.
I don't know how. It's a great movie. I think they actually told the story.
Hollywood whitewashing cultured characters. That's why she got in trouble or got flack for it, because the main character is supposed to be a Japanese person and not white Scarlett Johansson.
It's a cybernetic human,
in Japan
with blue eyes.
Okay. First of all,
I'm just saying, like,
we get it. All right, so
it's a cybernetic human. How are they supposed to like? Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The argument that Justin, I think, is trying to make is keeping true to the original. And so if you're going to make a non-animated film based off of an animated film, you should keep the characters similar. For example, if you had Mulan and Mulan was a white chick, people would be like, what is happening? So, I think that's what he's trying to say is they should have simply just found an Asian, at a minimum, an
Asian actor.
An Asian actress
let me throw
to play the part.
I guess
it's not saying she didn't do well. I didn't see the movie, so I don't know how well she did as an actress.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm not arguing that point.
I think we're just arguing semantics, and we're getting off topic. It's
to do with anime.
Well, right. All right.
I don't think
anime. What would you like to say?
I don't think that a lot of anime are created with any sort of nationality. Some maybe. This one, I don't think so. Like Samurai Champloo takes place in
Japan,
Edo area, Japan. So it would be assumed that they're all like Edo age Japanese peoples, right? This one I feel like is a little bit blurry because like the partner, like I just don't think many of them necessarily look like they're trying to go for like a very ethnic. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that, but it's just like I don't think that a lot of anime directors that create these things are like, oh yeah, we're gonna make everybody look like a European or this or that. I think they try and like come up with these characters that just have maybe aesthetically pleasing faces. I don't know. Anyway, off topic.
I mean, I'm not in animation. I mean, you could have a point. I would agree with you that I would say I think most animes, they probably try to use some sort of uniracial outline.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there are plenty of animes and plenty of characters that are definitely have a racial tone to them that kind of sets pace. So
no, I get that. I'm not denying that point. I just don't think with this specific film, even though it's based in Neo Tokyo, whatever year it is, I just have a hard time seeing that any sort of Japanese characteristic in the character that is the Major.
Matt,
since she is a cybernetic human.
I applaud the fact that you don't see race. I appreciate that, sir.
Hey, just maybe more. Anyway, I'm done talking. All right. I've given my 15 cents
and a little more.
Somebody else, please.
Justin, let's hear it, man. Let's hear why. I'd like to hear the opposing. I feel like I'm more in the middle, so more closer on the like side, but more in the middle.
I mean, I think for just when this movie came out and like it's cyberpunk, kind of genre, it just like set precedent for I think that kind of style and like subgenre of science fiction. It's like it's one of the big ones. Like Akira's another like futuristic science fiction dystopic kind of cyberpunk, and then this was another. It's just one of the heavy hitters. I think it really built foundation for and influence like most things to come that kind of go for this aesthetic. The animation, like in the original that I had watched, it's all hand drawn. It's really, really well done. There are a lot of really, really fun scenes, like the combat scene when they're like chasing this assailant like through the city, and then she's like cloaked like on the water and like that kind of riverfront, and then is just like whooping this dude's ass. Just like that animation style, it's just really cool. I don't know. Everything about the movie is like very aesthetically pleasing. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Look at these cute fellas.
Hey guys.
Yeah, it's no longer the Foundation show. I didn't even realize it was like blown up on my.
Isn't there another one that's it doesn't have it all blown up on our faces?
You don't like it?
No, I mean I think this is funny.
There we go. I like this.
I like this. Yeah, this is good. I think that if we have like some funny segments and we can go to the 3 panels, because it's like the Brady Bunch, sign in. But back to Ghost in the Shell. I don't know. There's not much that I can say in opposition to Foundation not liking this for what it is. Basically everything that you talked about, I just feel the exact opposite of how you feel. I think it's really cool. Visually, it's stunning. The storyline is really fun, and and like the point you had brought up, it kind of goes into like questioning realities. So this organic digital life was born, and at the end like forms with the Major, and then so she becomes like 100% conscious, because I mean she's just an AI program as well. And like there are points in the movie where she's like, oh, I can feel it in my ghost, or like I can like
she has
like my ghost is telling me. But she's only programmed, like she has like a soul, but she's not like 100% like conscious. She's only like set to the parameters of like her duty. Like she's a major in like of an officer, like there was a scene when she was on the boat with her partner, and he was like, oh, I don't know why you go swimming with that body that's going to sink you in there. Like, what do you feel when you're down there? And she's like, well, when I'm in the depths of the water, I feel fear and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, so there's just like remnants of this consciousness that you once had. But at the end of the day, you're just a program, and you only have your limitations that are set to like what you're programmed for and to. And then like when she merges with this completely sentient, free artificial intelligence, she then becomes completely sentient, and then there's like another organic life that was born between the two of them. So, and then she becomes that. I don't know. I just think it's really cool, and like as a concept, philosophically, I think it's pretty gnarly and kind of fun. Like third eye shit. Like I don't know how to like put this into words, what I'm trying to explain, but
I think basically you agreed with me on the points that it's a cool idea, and it's provocative in the way that it makes you like sort of expand your own thinking into that sort of, I guess, realm of.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, so I agree with you there 100%. But the only thing that I disagree with you is that you took that and you were like, but I hate it. Whereas I took all that and was like, yeah, that's really cool shit. That's why I love it.
I think if you watch the live action adaptation, you'll see why I prefer that one over this one. As with that movie, there is a lot more backstory with the main character that is the Major, and it provides you a little more connection in that way. All about the connection, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Anyway, is that all?
That was funny. The connection, because they're all on the. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah, I guess I don't really have any other points to make other than that. I mean, the idea, yeah, but I thought the storyline was compelling. When I watched the movie, I watched it earlier today, and like I was 10 minutes into it, and I was like, God damn, this movie is so damn cool. Like, it feels good to watch. The animation's really, really fun. I think the storyline's really great. Like, there's philosophical depth. But like, and another thing I do agree with you with, there is a lot that you have to interpret, and it's left to your imagination. Like, specifically just like the surroundings, the setting, like this dystopic, what's going on in this future. Like, the world is only as big as like the storyline itself. It doesn't have like a lot of exterior depth.
There is one thing that I do really appreciate. You're talking about the animation. I didn't hate the animation. I thought it was really cool in the way that they did all the intricacies of like the wiring of these like robots, these cybernetic organisms and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the art style and like the animation itself is really, really well done. And yeah, the fact, I mean, it's cell animation, but yeah, I don't know. I will move. I'll segue this and give it to Riggs here, but I'll just end this saying that I think it's a fantastic movie, and it sets precedent for a lot of things in this genre that have come out of it. I think it's definitely quintessential of the genre and of animated movies.
All right.
Riggs.
Yeah. All right, my turn. All right. Yeah. So I'd say, I guess overall, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, I'm gonna agree with Matt that there were a couple of plot holes that I did notice, and some weird other petty things that it's always the small things that kind of take me out, that I might notice, and that's why, as I said, the things I noticed when I'm older, 20 years later from when I watched it the first time. Watching it as a teenager, I was just watching it, just totally into it, and then now watching it in my 30s, I'm kind of watching things and my mind's more, I don't know, advanced, and like I just kind of picking up on things quicker, and I'm just like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Like, what's going on there? But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I thought it was, as far as plot goes, if we stick to that, I mean, it made sense. There weren't really any necessarily. I guess I wouldn't call them plot holes. It's just aesthetic holes that I would probably say that didn't make sense. But as far as plot goes, I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Cops and robbers type anime. I mean, you have this authoritarian force that's looking for the guys who are doing the wrong, and they're looking at them, they're looking for them from the beginning, right? So from the moment the anime starts, not necessarily the moment, but once you really get the first debriefing of the Major, they're talking about the Puppet Master. So the Puppet Master is the main villain throughout the beginning. The Puppet Master isn't created in some freak accident, or it's not some revenge story from something you're watching him from the very first scene. So it's very clear who the bad guys are and who the good guys are in this. And
there's just a wild goose chase during
so it's
during
just
the whole
very
thing.
Born Identity, I guess. Maybe like if you were trying to like use an interpretation, it's just straight action. There really wasn't a whole lot of dialogue, story building scenes, and maybe that's the thing that maybe Foundation is hurting his thought. Because there wasn't really like a story building scene. They spent time, and I noticed, and I was watching it, and that exact scene that Foundation is talking about when he says, it was just her sitting on these barges, and it just kept, it's just all music. That's a good 3, 4, 5 minutes. And it's just kind of just showing the city, which I appreciate, but I noticed Akira does that. And I think a lot of movies from the 90s kind of did that. And it's that same type of, I can't think of the proper genre of music, but I want to say it's almost like a churchy, preach, holy, worshipy type song melody of tone, instrument use, and kind of the hymning that's going
almost
along
like
in the background,
like choral, like a choir.
Yeah. And so
in that, that's just like world building. And I do agree with you back on those points that as straightforward as like the plot of this stuff is, with that, there wasn't a lot of like character development.
Right.
So I agree.
And the only really where there is character development is with the Major, which I appreciate, right? So it's the main character, the one we're focusing on the whole time. You don't really have a lot of scenes without her. That's who is showing character development, and she shows that on the boat when she's talking about being down there, and the fear of the darkness, and then when she's the weightlessness of floating to the top makes her feel relieved. And I forget, because I know in the back of my mind I was thinking like being birthed, but it was something like she is finding herself. That's the feeling she gets when she's rising to the surface of the water, is that she's discovering her. It's that moment of self-discovery. And in the elevator, she's questioning, and I forget, is he he's not a major, but her that partner, is he a captain, or is he Bato? So I guess I'm not 100% sure what his I don't know if anybody remembers, but
I'm not sure of his title. I know that they're partners.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's a major
in the
too
force.
or not. But he they're riding in the elevator, and she's like, what have you ever questioned who you are? Have you ever questioned, was I a brain, was my brain in somebody else that already died and had that, or was I never alive? Was I always an artificial being?
Right, yeah.
And like she has this existential crisis, and she's kind of having that throughout the movie. And she's talking about these whispers. Her ghost is hearing these whispers, which I think is alluded to the Puppet Master being this VI that kind of had almost a global type access, and kept trying to reach out to her and find her. The AI says that. And it's a typical VI turned AI type situation. This virtual intelligence that they developed to basically do foreign propaganda. It would hack, foreign countries' bank accounts, news stories. Generally wasn't there to hack people.
It was just to be used as like as a weapon,
as a propagation tool. Weapon.
Yeah.
And it through all of this all of these accesses of accessing other ghosts and accessing other databases, it slowly develops because it's a self-learning VI, or it was a self-learning VI. It improved on itself so much that it evolved into an AI. Even though it kind of didn't call itself an AI, it said that no, it's a real person. It's like, I mean, isn't that exactly what a true AI would say? Like,
right. That's
so,
like, and that's where I think a lot of the conflict arises in the plot, is that this digital life that was organically born, it's, or like, the theory of singularity, like a machine becomes smarter than the creator of the machine. And that's exactly what's going on. So like the problem is that this thing is like seeking political asylum because it's like completely self-aware and doesn't understand why is that an issue for it to exist, and everyone wants to exterminate it, but now it knows what it's capable of and what it can do. And I think that's why they wanted to vanquish it. But it's like, well, dude, now I'm like alive. Why can't I exist?
Yeah,
like, even though I have this capability. And that's like the merger at the end, like when he merges into the consciousness of the Major, so it will live there forever. And then she, like, at that point, like, breaks from her existential crisis and is like, fuck, I know too much now. And is like,
I would say
this is all flawed, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where I would disagree with that thought process is I don't think that the AI's intelligence was that immature that it didn't know what its capabilities were. It's almost when it asked for asylum, it zoomed in on its face and you could see a smirk in the lips. It knew what it was doing and that it deserved asylum because now it has a body. And that was what it said. He said, well, before I didn't have a body. Now I inhabit a body. I am an individual. I deserve the right to seek asylum.
I guess that is real. So he is.
And then that's where they left it. And that's where Section 6 came in and really jumped the gun, because the chief of Section 9, as after all that unfolded and the Section 6 invisible dudes took the AI away, as they were in the elevator, the chief of Section 9 goes, I would have given it to him. I just wanted to get a disposition from it. So if they would have done nothing, all he would have done was like, all I want to take is a deposition, you can have it. And that would have been done. And they wouldn't have had to do any other thing. So it's kind of like, it's that they kind of, Section 6 in my mind jumped the gun. If they wouldn't have done anything, they would have had the AI back. And because the Section 9 chief did not seem that he wasn't on the AI side of it deserving asylum. He was willing to give it back and be like, nah. So, by doing what they did, they kind of set the things in motion. And how they explained the end was that, I'm not 100% clear on the Major's existence, but it seemed the VI is gone, or the AI is gone for sure. Because what he wanted to do was join with the Major. And they kind of basically talked about having a child, and that he would no longer exist. It would no longer exist, and it would actually combine with the Major, because I remember the Major not wanting to do that because they're like, well, I can't. She's like, I can't have children. So what are you talking about? And he kind of said, well, he's not children in the biological sense, children as in a program. They're giving birth to a program. That's what I think is in
digital artificial intelligence.
Yeah, life. I think that child of the Major and the AI, the puppet master, are now inhabiting the new body at the end. And so I think that is, but I don't know. Maybe either, I don't know if it was when they combined, the Major evolved and the AI's self-awareness is now gone, personality, whatever we want to call it, is now gone, and it was just the major evolved into this new life form, into this new life, or if the major is also gone and it's only, but that wouldn't make sense. So I think what it is the major evolved, because when at the very end the child body reflects on what she talked to Bato about on the boat, and so the major's memories still have to be there. So I think what happened was they combined, and then the major evolved into this new, still the major, but not the major life like essence.
Right.
So, but I mean, other than that, I think there is some deep stuff, but as I said, but I think just everything kind of just flowed. It ended pretty open. So you could make an argument for actually there was a sequel, Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence,
which is very, very good in my opinion. It's a lot more fleshed out. Where Foundation, I think if you watch the second movie, you might actually like that one more than this one.
Okay.
So, but I would say the things I didn't like were, why did she have nipples? I don't understand.
Yeah, because she didn't have a belly button. She didn't have a belly button. She didn't have like
a Barbie doll. She's a Barbie doll.
Yeah,
Barbie's smooth all the way around. Yet she had nipples.
But pronounced nipples.
She had ovules, whatever they are. Whatever.
Areolas.
Areola. Yeah.
So I was like, why? This doesn't, like, it bothered me throughout the movie. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Because why? Why did you even make them a different color? Like, why? It's just like, and it was like, it's one of those things. It's like when it gets in your mind and you sit there, you're like, and it just won't leave. And it's just made me more and more annoyed every time you
like, why does she have nipples?
Yeah, and she was naked a lot. And that's one of the things I also don't remember when I was younger. I was like, was she always
definitely
this naked?
Yeah.
But I think always this naked.
I think that she does that so like for the camouflage.
Because her skin, her skin is the thing that does the camouflaging.
Thermoptics.
I honestly thought it was like a wetsuit or something, and then maybe she was just nipping through it. But no, like that. And so again, that's just another thing as I notice as you get older, you're looking at it and you're like, that's not a wetsuit. That's
it really naked. It really doesn't make sense that in the character design they gave them pronounced and prominent areola nipples for zero functionality. It's literally just for the look. And part of me just thinks that was for the animators and designers themselves. They're like, it's kind of hot. Let's just do it because we can, kind of thing.
And I'm looking at the movie, and it says it's not rated, and because I think
because it shows nipple, and it was 1995, yeah.
Right. So that's
and
why it's like,
animes always have some sort of like perviness to them. That's kind of like a cultural thing, and I think maybe they just wanted to pull their punches, do the fan service, be like, yeah, give them nipples. Make them have really nice boobs,
but don't give them a butthole
because it looks really good. Yeah, no belly buttons though. We don't want a hole in the stomach.
No buttholes. No holes. No holes.
No holes. They're not even a cloaca.
The nipples weren't even functional. Like I don't think you can.
But they're there. But they're there.
They're there.
I mean, if we're gonna ask that question, I mean, why even have them be a gender one versus the other?
Right. Why have it? Why be gender? I guess because their consciousness before they ever turned themselves into programs were conscious gendered people.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe. I'd say answer to both there. One, why wouldn't you make it a gender when you have to do some sort of infiltration, right?
Yeah, true.
Women, I mean, think Black Widow. I think the best spies, they always claim the best spies are women.
Fair.
Because men are in power, right? So let's just be real. It's usually men are, even in movies, it's always some sort of man in power, and they can get seduced by a woman, and then the woman is some sort of robot or whatever, assassin, whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, it would make sense to use genders, to especially in some sort of military or espionage type role, because maybe you need a guy to get in because it's a egotistical thing, and
it's like a harem world or something,
It's like a guy, he only wants fellow male soldiers in the guarding him, right? Well, then you need to have a male, what I mean? So you do have to, I think, yeah. That's never going to get away. Humans aren't unisex. So, that's just, it would only make sense that your cyborgs manufactured humans would be of both races, depending on the need of that unit.
Of both sexes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's still there are still humans with like human bodies, human brains, with minimal.
Her driver, remember, or not? I mean, it wasn't a driver, but there's two people in section.
The dude 9. With the mullet who looks really cool,
yeah,
but yeah, he's a human who just has a brain enhancement. Yeah,
yep, 100% human. And then the captain or chief of section 9 is also full human. So, that's to play that, but I don't think the major they used a brain from a dead body. I think she was totally 100% created, and that she has, because they always refer to it as parts of a human brain. So I don't necessarily know what that means. Like,
I think that her having
chop
that
it up into pieces, or it's like
the fact that she was a program but had a human brain is like, the fact that she had human brain is what kind of maybe propelled her like becoming existential and kind of existing with that dread of being like, well, what is more, what is beyond? Like, I have a human brain. It's perpetuating like these, like the thoughts of, the ghost in me. Cause like that brain had a soul or a consciousness before.
Yeah. I think but I don't even think she had a full human brain. I think she had,
it was segments.
Brain.
Yeah.
Which, it's never even said what parts they use. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot left. There's a lot out there to be left to imagination of like unknowns.
But back on the gender thing, like, why do they have nipples though? Like, what's interesting though? So like the virus, like the puppet master, completely gender ambiguous. Obviously, it's inside of this body that again has perfect boobs and nipples for no reason. With a very masculine, deep voice. Right. So like, that's the one thing, like, of it being AI, no gender. It is like a genderless organic life.
Inorganic.
Yeah. Sorry. Digital, inorganic. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, why do they have nipples?
Yeah, so weird.
Those are the things that bothered me.
So did it not bother you with the last battle scene where she tries to go like all Hulk on that tank?
Yeah. So I did want to make a point to that is that her and none of the cyborgs that you are introduced with, I have any type of machine brain, right? They don't, at no point do they have just this knowledge of everything. They have to tap into the web and get information, right? So she taps in and then gets information from whatever server base is out there. So before that fight with the tank even gets started, she says, "I'm going dark," and cuts her mic, right? So she's cutting herself off from everything. So she only has the memories that she has as an individual. She doesn't have this server world internet.
Access.
She doesn't have a Google brain. She just is her individual, and she goes. Now, it was kind of weird because as she was pulling on the tank, the hatch, it looked like her muscles were growing.
Yeah, dude.
And like she was developing muscles. So it's almost like she thought she could pry the thing off. But but her joints just gave out, which you would think at some point you would stop, but she didn't. So yeah, I would agree that didn't make any sense because like you're already on it.
See, if I were,
why would you continue to do that? You could have just sat on it. You could have.
I'm a regular human, and I would have been like, hey,
I don't know.
She didn't have a weapon. She must have been out of ammo or something. But like, there was that camera that was just like looking at her and like that would move around. It's like take out the sensory, optic things of this tank first, disable its sort of awareness, and then go after various. With giving her agility, she could kind of dodge, duck, and dive through under it, and maybe take out one weapon, take out the next weapon, and she could have toyed around with it, for a while and just taken it apart. But it's more dramatic to have arms rip off something, and
yeah, I mean, it doesn't
visually. The animation looks cool.
Yeah, it
looks cool.
I mean, her thought process there is unknown, right? I don't know why she did. Like, it doesn't make sense. She doesn't do anything like that throughout the whole movie,
right?
So it's very uncharacter for her to do that.
Part of me was just like, was she trying to get like to the CPU of this piece of technology, like to get to something to disable the tank?
Driver in there.
But
I mean, it doesn't make sense, and that I would 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, and then dude comes in with a railgun immediately after she busts up all her limbs, and then just wastes the tank and the synthetic operator that's inside of it. It's like, well, damn. I should have waited 5 seconds before I decided to destroy my entire body. So I guess that's one thing. I mean, the animation looked great, but I guess that's one thing I'd be a little critical of with the storyline. It's like, why the hell did that happen? And then dude brings in the the puppet master, and they all link up together. And that's when like he's trying to like figure out and read in, but they're having like this private conversation about like melding programs and things like that. And then there's just like an airstrike where they just all get jacked up. Like, where the hell did the airstrike come from? What was that about, and why?
That was Section 6 swooping in to try and reclaim that.
And try to destroy them. Okay, that makes sense.
So during the fight, right before. So if you remember, her helicopter, right, shoots out the roof.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, it's a tank. Get out of here." And he like doesn't. The pilot just is still hanging out. And he goes, "Hey, just so you know, you have 3 incoming helicopters coming in fast, and they are not ours." And she goes, "Okay, it's good to know." And he's like, "All right, well, I'm out of here now." And like he bugs out. And so those 3 helicopters are from Section 6, and they come in and they're just they're snipers. And there's just 2 snipers, that one on each target. And they try to take their shots collectively. For some reason, the AI had frozen Bato, and like he couldn't move. And he's like, he can see the lasers from the snipers, and so he's trying to like warn them or protect them, and he can't move, and he eventually gets his arm up in the way and reflects a bullet meant for the major, and it must hit her in the neck and pop her head off, because I mean her head still goes flying, so the bullet must have still hit her.
So like what made me wonder about that whole thing is like, okay, what if there was some sort of melding going on between those 2 sort of digital consciousnesses? Did that complete, or was it like severed midstream?
No, it was done.
I think it was done. I think it's like open to wonder, but then it like solidifies that it was when Like at the very end, the child's like, "Where does the newborn go from here? The web is vast and infinite." It's like, oh, they are 100% melded to be the next, AI conscious.
Yeah,
thing.
and to that too as well is don't forget that he had actually taken over the AI had actually taken over the Major's body and infiltrated her body. So he actually vacated that other body. And
the blonde nippled body, no reason nipple body.
And
you're very worried about them those nipples.
They don't make sense.
Keep bringing it up. Okay, keep bringing it up.
I'm gonna
until we get answers.
Yeah.
So, so when they blew the head off of that unit, it didn't matter because it was already gone. And so, so the fact that they popped the head off is probably, in essence, what the Bato blocking it. So,
okie dokie, cool. So I mean, let's start with Katsu here. How many ramen bowls would you say this?
How many bowls of soup do I give this?
Sure.
Final opinions. That's what we're on to.
I'm gonna give this 4 bowls of soup.
Nice.
Greg's, how about you?
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with 4. I feel like part of me wants to give it a little less, but I do enjoy it. And I gave Vampire Hunter D a 4 as well. So I feel like that is frame of reference. I got to be fair across the board.
We're watching great movies. That's all it is. And part of me is like, I should give this movie 3.5 bowls.
That's where I love it.
But I love it, so I'm gonna give it 4 bowls.
All right. Well, I can never just eat a half of
half of a bowl of ramen.
So forget that business. I'm gonna go with 3. I mean, you guys did convince me that it was a lot better than what I kind of originally thought. But yeah, 3 bowls of soup on that one.
Well,
and I think that's fair.
We appreciate you seeing the error in your ways, because as we always say, you're allowed.
You're entitled to your opinion,
even if it's wrong.
Foundation, even if it's wrong.
With all jokes aside, though, you definitely did bring up some solid, Craig. You did. And I agreed with you on a lot of them.
Yeah.
Solid critical analysis, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
without going into anything else to talk about, because that'll just bring us down another rabbit hole, I think we should conclude this broadcast. Next time we'll be going over some current news articles and talking about what we are currently into.
Do we have something? Yes. Yep. Monday or Tuesday.
Tuesday. We'll be doing it Tuesday instead of Monday.
And then Ketsu will be hosting. And did we have a movie picked out yet, guys? For
we do not. I had a couple in mind. I was gonna